you're on top of all of this. Okay, 2257. This is another big one. So this is kind of crazy. This is dovetails off of AB5, right, which is the independent contractor bill here in California. I want to spend the rest of our time here talking through this one together. You know, ever since AB5 was first rolled out, and since January, I've been in meetings. I've actually been invited, you know, on behalf of our clients to speak with, you know, local congressmen to kind of share some of the pain points that a lot of our clients have had to deal with, you know, in this independent contractor piece. So what 2257 did is there were 31 outstanding bills from all over the state, you know, from different types of lobbyists, right, and different types of industries to try to make these adjustments. So we consolidated 31 and had this now emergency piece of legislation last month called AB 2257. And the two things that I wanted to highlight are the change to the business-to-business exception, which are huge for a lot of our clients. And you know, there's a new clarifications for the entertainment industry. We here at SDP, we have a lot of clients that are in the entertainment industry. You know, both in the you know, on the production side, you know, photographers and videographers and artists. And then both, you know, we do a lot of work with nonprofits here in our community. So entertainment industry can be, you know, your local community theater or your local music school that you know, offers after school programs for students. All of this stuff is under this entertainment industry kind of umbrella, you know, under AB5 and now 2257. So I'll go through a quick overview of AB5. I know most of you are probably familiar, but for those of you who aren't, okay, the law in California always used to be what's called Borrello, B-O-R-E-L-L-O. You can look it up. It's a famous case, and that's kind of how you know, the independent contractor classifications always worked here in California. And I call it, to simplify it, it's the control test. Okay, how much control are you, the employer, exerting over your employees, okay, or your contractors, I should say, okay. If Jake is my independent contractor, you know, am I telling him where to go every day? Does he have a schedule? Jake, you have to come in at 8 o'clock. That's not an independent contractor. That's an employee. If you're telling him what time to come in, Jake, you have to go over here and you have to go over there. That's not an independent contractor, okay. Whether or not these contractors using their own tools, right? Do you have them come into your office? Are they using your computers and your tools, etc.? Payment is a huge issue, right? Are you controlling payment? Independent contractors should be handling their own payment, okay? Just if you were hiring a contractor to come and perform work at your home, right? You know, they come out and give you an estimate. It's going to be $1,000, okay? Then they provide you an invoice, and here's everything I did, and you pay them $1,000. It's the same thing that happens, you know, with an independent contractor that you have in the workplace, okay? What the ABC test did is they got rid of all that. They said, hey guys, we're not going to talk about control. That's going to just be one piece, right? But we have ABC, okay? And here's how this is going to work. You have to meet all three of these requirements in California in order to be an independent contractor. So step A, right, this contractor has to be free from control in the direction of the company, okay? Both practically and in the contractual agreement between parties. So that's that control piece, right? That's one box. Step B, they have to perform work that's outside the usual course and scope of the company's business. Well, what does that mean? Well, if I'm a payroll company and I wanted to, you know, maybe, hey, this, you know, so-and-so's a payroll sales, he's a professional sales rep, and, you know, I want to have him sell on behalf of my company too. Well, if he's doing payroll sales and we do payroll sales, that's going to fail step B. So there's no way that I can hire that person as an independent contractor. That's going to be an employee. Well, that doesn't make any sense. He's got his own company, he's got his own corporation, and he sells on, you know, benefits on behalf of a benefit company. You know, he helps CalWork Safety because he's really good in the HR space, and he sells on behalf of them. Yeah, he doesn't want to be my employee, and I don't want to have to pay all the taxes and insurances to have him be my employee. The AB5 here kind of squashed that, and they said, nope, this has to be, if they're performing work that's kind of similar, no deal. Where it would fly is, an example is if we're in the payroll space, and let's just say a lot of our smaller businesses, hey, Brett, you know what? We really need help with our bookkeeping. Can you help us with bookkeeping? No, I'm not an accountant. No, we're not an accounting company. So maybe what I can do is I can call Jake and say, hey, Jake, you know what? You're a bookkeeper. Here's what I want to do. I want to, offer bookkeeping services. Why don't I introduce you to some of my clients, and then you can, you can then bill them directly, right? Or, we'll collect the fees, and then you just tell us how much to pay, and we'll pay your invoice at the end of every month. So because Jake is a bookkeeper and we're a payroll company, it's close enough related, but it's outside the scope. So that would be able to work under the Part B of ABC, okay? And then the last step of C is whether or not this contractor is customarily engaged in an independently established trade or their business, right? So reading between the tea leaves there, does this bookkeeper have his or her own business, okay? And the fine line below that is it a professional entity? Is it either an LLC or a corporation, right? Just because Jake has a sole proprietorship, that's not necessarily gonna withstand that scrutiny on the ABC test. So that's kind of where we were under AB5, kind of cut and dry. The biggest problems were under this, what's called the business to business exception, okay, exemption, I should say. What that stated is that, hey, you know what? If we are creating a business to business relationship, if Jake has his own corporation, Jake's Bookkeeping Inc., right, and I want to, contract with him to offer bookkeeping services to my payroll clients, I can do that. But they threw in a wrinkle, a curveball. Jake, I can't be his only relationship. He has to have other clients as well. He can't just be exclusive with SDP. What? Why? Why does the state care so much about what he's doing with his time and his business? It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of these business to business exceptions, we work so hard to get through A, B, and C, but what if Jake over here is kind of semi-retired and, hey, look, I don't want to work for all these other people. I'm happy with the 3 or 5 clients that you give me every month, Brett. I don't want to, market my services to the public and work with other payroll companies, and I don't have the capacity to do that, because that's going to require me to hire employees. And you've already scared the heck out of me, Brett. I've heard all the stuff that you do. I don't want employees in California, right? So one of the biggest changes, there's a lot of quirks and a lot of updates, but the most important one under this business to business exception is that now the state of California is not going to tell him what to do with his business, as long as he has the ability to. We can't have an exclusive arrangement, and I can't force him to be exclusive with me. If he chooses to, that's fine. But as long as it's not in the independent contractor agreement, and he can market his services elsewhere, then he's good to go. Which is a big deal for a lot of our smaller employers that heavily rely on contractors for accounting work. IT is a big one. A lot of our smaller clients don't have in-house IT support, so they have to outsource it. This is a big deal for them. Okay, and lastly, the entertainment industry that I mentioned. The state now under 2257 made kind of a clarification, and I wanted to pull up the text there too, so that I can make sure that I'm giving you this right from the horse's mouth. So what they said is, before it was, hey, in the entertainment industry, no deal, employee. It's like, what? So we have clients, like I said, that they might, they're, sound designers and they have all this technology, and they kind of come out to maybe there's a show on a Friday night, somewhere, and somebody wants to hire them to come out and put this professional sound, panel together, so that they're having a corporate event for 100 or so people, and they want everything to be professional. Well, okay, how's that guy your employee if you're hiring a professional sound designer? And they said, nope, sorry, entertainment industry, it doesn't meet ABC here, and people are just like, what? That's insane. Okay, so what they did is they said, look, as long as this is kind of, if this is like a gig economy type arrangement, if this is a single engagement performance, okay? If this is like a non, orchestra or big productions, like obviously if I'm a huge recording artist and I've got a concert at Staples Center, well, you can't do that because that's a big production and that's not going to be a single engagement live performance, right? But if this is just a one-off, birthday party or corporate event or something like that, then you're okay. You can be independent, right? I think they said if this is a performance, or any kind of a festival, as well as if there are less than 18,000, I think they use about like 18,000 tickets. So if it's a smaller event, then you're going to be okay, right? You can still have independent contractors. If you are more than that, if it's a big, large-scale event, or if it's not just a single engagement, then you're going to still have to abide by AB5, okay? So, it's the unfortunate piece there is for those, community theaters and for those, music schools, they might have professional recording artists or professional musicians, but if I'm teaching, violin lessons to kids every day, that's more than a single engagement. So that's going to still remain under AB5, okay? But what they're saying is, if you meet one of these new exemptions, okay, then ABC goes away and you then go back just to Borello under the control test. All right. I know that we're kind of getting close to our time here, or what I promised for Q&A. So we just have a few more here. But those are the kind of the main pieces that I wanted to cover on COVID and some of these changes here to the independent contractor landscape. Okay. Another just reminder, I know everybody's familiar with this. The harassment prevention training, right? Sexual harassment. It's been the law in California for a while. As of 2 years or so ago, they reduced the requirement. So now all employers with at least 5 employees, okay, have to go through the training. And if you are a rank and file, non-supervisory employee, you must take 1 hour of the training. If you are, management level, or you have direct reports, there's a 2-hour requirement that has to be done by December 31st. So you've got some time, but you're running out of time. Okay, and then keep in mind, moving forward, there's a requirement for new hires that they must be trained within the first 6 months of their employment. Okay, so that's something that we do on the payroll side, right? We have our onboarding software that our clients use. So when they have a new hire, they they fill out all the paperwork electronically now, right? We don't want to, in a COVID environment, we don't want stacks of paper flying all over the place. So we hire them, we send them the link, they fill out their I-9 and W-4 and all that fun stuff. And then they go in to take their 1 hour of harassment training, so we can check that box off the list, okay? But just keep in mind that it's out there. There are a lot of different offerings, okay? I know that you can kind of get this stuff anywhere. I'm aware that there's a state resource that does have some free options, right? But depending on your workspace, you can mix and match. Some of our clients are like, Brett, we've got truck drivers, they're all over the place, they don't have access to computers. We need to kind of just gather them in one room and have somebody come out and do it live. No problem. There are a lot of resources. Okay, I'm sure if you reach out to CalWork Safety and HR, they've got a lot of things on deck to be able to help you. But I just wanted to mention this because a lot of people are like, oh, right, we had it on our radar, but then COVID kind of derailed us, or we had a plan in place, but now all my employees are remote. What do I do? So this is not something that they're just going to give you a pass on. So please make sure that you kind of put this back to the forefront here and get it handled. Okay, so let's go into the questions here. Give me just a second. I'll stop the screen share and we'll pull up the question piece. And again, here's my contact information. Okay, so I'll give you just a second here if you want to write this down. But again, it's going to be in the presentation. You'll get it later. Okay, so let me give you just a second. We'll stop the screen share. I'll come back on here for a sec. I'll go. There's one question in the chat. If you have a question, please use that chat box. I know that we kind of muted everybody. We didn't want any of the background noise